What's happening, everybody? It's Thabile TTO. I'm back and taking over on a brand new explosive episode of The Purple Couch. Welcome to the show. On this episode, we are shining a light on Mental Health Awareness Month. As you know, that July is the month where we celebrate and shine a light on mental health. So many young people in the country are faced and challenged with mental health issues because of maybe unemployment or some of the things that they're facing at home. But on this episode, we're going to be chatting to a live psychosocial counselor who's going to break down and let you know how you can get a hold of us so we can help you. Big shout out to the National Department of Health and the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture for making it all possible. Otherwise, we are live on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It is at LoveLifeNGO, hashtag The Purple Couch. Enough with the chit chat, let's get into today's explosive episode. Welcome to The Purple Couch. And you're still tuned into The Purple Couch right here on our YouTube channel. And it's time for us to get into Spot the Trend. This is where I give you some of the biggest trending topics that went down in the month of July. Our first Spot the Trend goes out to the Queen, Dr. Linda Nguza, who reached the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. A big shout out to you. We are so proud of you. It must have not been easy, but you definitely got to the top and took over. So huge congratulations to you. Our second Spot the Trend is, of course, a very sad one. As we've been seeing in many different townships in the country, there have been mass shootings and so many young people are losing or either getting injured in those mass shootings. I want to take the time to send my love and also send my condolences to families that have lost their loved ones, their kids. May we just love one another and take care of one another and continue to make our hoods a safer space for us to party, for us to live, and of course be together. And the last Spot the Trend for today is another very sad one, as we saw many kids die in Enyobeni Tavern. I think, what's happening in the country now is really sad. People who have got so much potential to take our country to the next level getting their lives shortened. And I wish there was a response and I wish there was something that I could do to stop it. My heart really does go out to the kids because those kids had their whole lives ahead of them, and now that has now been cut short. So I want to take the time to send my love and send my condolences to the families, and also just say and urge South Africa, let's treat each other with way more love and way more respect than we are giving now. We absolutely need it because we are going through so much. We're going to take a quick break just to debrief. When we come back, it's more Purple Couch. And you're still tuned into The Purple Couch right here on our YouTube channel, and it's time for us to get into our exclusive interview. And on today's exclusive interview, I'm so excited to be chatting to an author, an investor, and an entrepreneur. He goes by the name of Mpho Dagada. Welcome to The Purple Couch.
Thank you so much for having me, and hello.
Thank you for honoring the invite. I mean, you do so much, and today I'm happy that we get to basically just get to know you a little bit better. Who is Mpho, first and foremost?
So Mpho is a young man who grew up in Limpopo, in Venda, in Dagada, and went to school, got to high school, and started to be very inquisitive about how money is made.
Yeah.
Being in high school, started to try some businesses that didn't work out. Finished my high school, and after that went over to university. And when I got to university, one of my first questions that I used to ask everybody on campus was sort of, how much are you earning as soon as you finish, And my tutors would sort of start to tell me how much they're earning as soon as they finish. This was at the University of Johannesburg.
Yeah.
And I was very freaked out when my tutor said, well, look, when I'm done with school, this is how much I'm going to be earning. And they gave me the figure, which is about 10,000 Rand. So I said to them, okay, and then what happens there afterwards? And I said, look, you're going to work for another 10 years. Maybe then get promoted, you're going to earn about 20,000 Rand.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, so I'm about 30, I'm earning 20,000 Rand, okay, then they were like, well, you continue working, and hopefully when you're about 45, 50, you'll become a director.
Yeah.
And that's when you start to earn about 50,000 Rand. And I was like, that's it? They were like, yeah, that's the path you've chosen, this is what you're learning, and let's go, So I got a very rude awakening by realizing, that people don't earn the amounts we see in America, the amounts we see all around the world.
Yeah.
And I think coming from a black family where you're not really allowed to ever ask black parents how much you earn.
Yeah.
It was a very rude awakening to get to university and realize that, okay, perhaps what I'm studying is not going to give me the amount of money that I want.
And what were you studying?
So I started off studying BCom.
Okay.
Yeah. And as a result of that, I then realized, okay, you know what? I need to find out what these people that have got money do that's different. So my very interesting fact became, how do people make money? You know, that sort of became my new degree that I was learning, how money is made. And I began to realize that people make money from new ways of thinking. Because when you look at, for example, Mark Zuckerberg, who's a billionaire, he got the whole world to think Facebook. You know, we look at the guys that actually created Google and YouTube.
Yeah.
You guys watching on YouTube, they got the whole world to think YouTube. Right?
Yeah.
You look at even celebrities that have sort of created brands out of themselves. They got the whole world to think a certain type of way. So I thought, okay, for you to become successful, it means that you need to influence the world to think in the way that you think. To aspire to what you aspire to. You know, you look at somebody as simple as Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian got the whole world to think the way that she thinks, and hence whenever she sells something, it sells because they all think like her, right? And I thought, okay, how do I get the world to think like me? So I started to look at systems and how systems work and how things work. And in all my exploration, I was basically looking at the new things, the fourth industrial revolution.
Mpho, all this time with everything going on, how old are you?
So I was in my first year in university, so 19.
Damn. So at 19, you were asking yourself, how
am I going to make
How
it
you gonna
out of
make
this? Yes. and I think
definitely not through a traditional job where you're making 10,000 rand a month.
definitely not, yeah. And I think that my biggest issue with the traditional job was the fact that the media and society exposes us to all these people that are doing extremely well, right? So when you do get the rude awakening that, okay, you might not be that person, then that was the shocking thing that said, okay, I need to do a little research.
Yeah.
You know? So my research then continued, and as I continued my research, I found out about all these new technologies.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, computer learning, machine learning, all these new fourth industrial revolution things. And I thought, how do I teach myself these things? Because I knew that in university, no one knew about them.
Now, let me ask you, Mpho, with all of this research that you're doing in university as a 19-year-old, don't you think that was like further and further taking you away from studying and actually making your parents proud and attaining that qualification that they sent you to school for?
School, yeah. So look, I come from Venda, Limpopo, which is really hectic with education.
Yeah.
So I knew that I needed to study to make my parents proud. But what I did know is that students actually have a lot of time in university.
A lot.
And I think this is a conversation that many of them do want to have.
That's what I'm thinking as you're speaking. I'm like, what was I doing when I was in university?
So literally, I'd wake up, get to the library,
Yeah.
go for my lectures. In between my lectures, get back to the library. After school, stay in the library till about 11 p.m. And then I'd go home. And as I'm going home, other students are coming from groove, partying, this res activity, that, this and the other. Literally, I lived in the library. And I literally also lived, in the lecture hall. And in each of those times, I was thinking, actually, you have a lot of time in university. And I think that's the truth of the matter. The fact that you don't have so many other things to do. For example, sports, things like that. I mean, most of my time I spent it doing research. But the motivating factor was that every bit of research I did moved me closer to making money. So it was very exciting. I remember somebody asked me, said, weren't you bored? I mean, other students were partying. I was like, well, look, if you're making money, you're not bored.
So you were making money at that time?
I was making money, yeah.
So, from your first year?
From my first year. So from my first year, I'd already started businesses. I had a cleaning business in university where I was cleaning student rooms. So I'd hired people and were doing that. Yeah. So I'd already started business. I was selling Brevos rolls outside of Stones, a club in Melville.
Yes.
Already, my businesses were already generating money for me. So in university, I was already thinking, how am I going to make money to sustain the life that I want to live after university?
Sure. All right. Now you made your first million at 21. I want to know, between 20 and leading up to your 21st birthday, what was going on?
So what happened was, I started to explore systems of how people are making money.
Yeah.
And there were this group of ladies that were in Soweto that would join something called Kipi, right? And, they would say slogans like, oh, Kipi built me my house. Kipi works. So I'd attend most of these seminars and most of these things, and I'd listen. And after listening, I'd always ask questions. You'd be like, oh, how does this work,
Yeah.
Go to a Herbalife seminar. How does this work? Okay, this person says they're making money from Herbalife. Is it working for me? Is it not? So I basically learned about every single business model that there is. And one thing that I learned about when I was at that Kipi was one of the ladies that were there had asked me to buy her Bitcoin. So I said to this lady, what is this Bitcoin thing? And she was like, well, I don't know, but somebody in Russia said I must buy Bitcoin, so let's buy Bitcoin, And I sort of said to the lady, you know what? I know a lot about business. But this sounds very scammy, it sounds like something where you're going to lose your money. Yeah, and she was like, well, I don't care if I lose my money, just buy it for me. So I was like, how does it work? And she's like, I don't know. Started doing more research on it, and I basically found a Chinese guy on the internet who was like, okay, I've got Bitcoin, send me money, I'll give you the Bitcoins, right? So I sent him my money, and after sending him, it was 1,000 Rand. After sending him the 1,000 Rand, he says, we've sent you the Bitcoins, right? So I call that later, and I'm like, listen, we've been scammed. I sent this guy 1,000, and he's like, he sent us this Bitcoin. And she's like, no, just find out what he's saying. So I started texting him, saying, hey, listen, you've scammed us, where's our money? Yeah. And he's like, well, the numbers on your computer screen, those are the Bitcoins that I've sent you. And I'm like to him, hold on. I've just sent you 1,000 Rand, and you're telling me some numbers on my laptop is what you've sent me? And he's like, yeah, that's it. Those numbers represent the Bitcoins that you now have. And I was like, what? And at that time, it was a couple of Bitcoin, mind you. I think it was about 5 Bitcoins. And 5 Bitcoins today, that's north of 3 million. Exactly. But in that time, they were worth 1,000 Rand for about 5 of them. So I say to this guy, look, what's going on? I'm questioning him. He's like, well, this is this Bitcoin thing. And this is how it works. So what happens is, there afterwards, the next day, those 5 Bitcoins were now worth about, it was like double the amount that it actually purchased for. So I was very, very excited to be like, okay, what is this thing where somebody sends you a couple of numbers on the internet and hey, it actually is money, So I started to be more inquisitive about it and started to buy and invest more. And in university, I was in the lecture hall in 3rd year, in my 2nd semester, about to finish my degree.
Yeah.
I opened up my laptop, and the amount of Bitcoins I had accumulated were actually worth 1 million Rand. So I'm in my lecture hall. I look to the left, I look to the right. I'm like, you know what? This second industrial revolution education that I'm getting is not going to work for me. So I closed my laptop and I literally leave, and that was it.
And you dropped out?
That was it.
You dropped out?
3rd year, 2nd semester, about to finish. I was like, there's no need.
Now that you've touched on that, let's talk a little bit about cryptocurrency and what it is. So much is happening in the country now where people are asking, these questions. And like you said, I also get these DMs from people in Russia and people in China. I'm just like, block, delete. I don't want anything to do with that. What is cryptocurrency? What is Bitcoin? And how do these things relate, if they do relate?
Cool. So the best way to understand cryptocurrency, it's sort of the internet of money.
Okay.
Right. So we all got the internet and we're all on the internet, right? But many people have never really found out how to monetize the internet that they're on, right? And it's a little bit complex, but I'm going to try and make it very simple. To the extent where people have realized that digital content, digital footprints have the equivalent of money.
Yeah.
For example, the fact that you wake up in the morning and you go on this app and that app and that app, that has a monetary value in this digital economy that we create, right? So people thought, how do we then co-link what we do on the internet with some form of money? And that's where cryptocurrency was started. And people said, let's create a system that will allow computers to solve mathematical problems and give us these bitcoins. There's these huge computers that keep on solving mathematical equations, utilizing the digital time as a human being would actually be on the internet scrolling or whatever. And as a result of that, you actually get money from it. And as a result of that, that money that you get, the more you get the money, the more it's more difficult for you to actually create those bitcoins. So as a result of that, the price of the Bitcoin continues to increase and increase and increase.
You touched on if the market falls and we all did, then does then cryptocurrency have a connection with Forex?
I see. No. So the big difference is Forex is leveraging off the traditional system that already exists.
Okay.
The rand, the dollar, the yen. And that's very much based on a monetary system that's been created for many years.
Yeah.
Cryptocurrency is basically people that are saying, you know what, we see the system, we don't like it. It's unfair, it's difficult to get involved in, and people are very corrupt in the system.
Yeah.
And people are basically saying, we're creating our own system.
Yeah.
That's not linked to the rand, that's not linked to the dollar, that's basically linked to things that we deem as correct. Computers, numbers, mathematics. And as a result of that, it's completely different. However, the same way people trade Forex, buy, sell, the same way you trade this new cryptocurrency. You're able to buy it, you're able to sell it, etc., etc. So that's the big difference between them. But they're very two different financial and monetary systems.
Sure. All right. Now you are Mr. Bitcoin, and at this point, Bitcoin is something that is going, national, going worldwide, and everybody's getting involved. How can someone at home like myself get involved in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency? What's sort of maybe the first 3 steps that I should take?
Cool. I think the first thing you should do is read. So I usually say take about 10-20 minutes reading about what Bitcoin is.
I'm not even doing that anymore. I'm now going to be researching the same way that you were researching.
We're researching.
4 hours. Groove 4 hours. Groove 4 hours. Yeah.
and the next thing I would say is go on the internet and actually research what is Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I've got lots of videos that actually give you. And the next thing is get involved.
Yeah.
Get involved. I think I always say to people that when I started, I lost a lot of money. When I started, I got scammed a lot of different things happened.
Well, I could literally sit here and talk to you the whole day, but how can people get a hold of you on your social platforms if they have more questions that I maybe have not asked yet?
Cool. So I am on YouTube. You're able to find me. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Mpho Dagada. I've also got a website, www.mpod.com. Number phones are there. Contact details are there. So they can use those details to get a hold of me.
Sure, a big shout out to you. I think you're doing really, really amazing, and I think it's inspiring for me, and it's making me ask myself, what am I actually doing with my time? Instead of going to Groove, let me research on Bitcoin, because I want 400,000, Paul. I want 400,000. We're going to take a quick break, but do connect with us across all our social media platforms. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hashtag the Purple Couch. It is, of course, at Love Life NGO. We'll be back on today. It's Mental Health Awareness Month this month, and I'm joined in studio by a Love Life Counsellor, Mikateko, and we're going to be chatting a little bit about mental health and the work that she does with Love Life. Welcome to the show, Mika.
Thank you. What took you so long? I'm finally here, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Mika, talk to us about, being a Love Life Counsellor. What are some of the day-to-day things that you do?
Okay, as a counselor, as you know, we do have a contact center.
Yeah.
Where people are able to send a call back, and then we do give counseling.
Yeah.
And we talk about anything and everything that you want to talk about. So everyone out there, should you want to talk to a counselor for free, guys, for free, just send a call back. We'll be giving you the number towards the end. So that's what we do on a day-to-day basis here at Love Life.
Now, I'm one person who is heavily, on social media and on Twitter. The one thing that people are always talking about is how expensive it is to receive psychosocial, services. With Love Life, how are you guys able to offer these services without people paying for them?
We do it telephonically. So we do telephonic counseling where you just send a call back, like I said, and then you will get a counselor. We also have other platforms like your Instagram, Facebook. You can chat to someone on Facebook. Under our Love Life page about anything and everything. So that's why we are trying, by all means, like you said, it's expensive. For example, a mere 45-minute session for counseling can cost you close to 600 rand. So you don't need to go and pay. You can just send a call back to 083 323 1023 and speak to the lovely counselors at Love Life.
Yeah. Mika, how did you get to doing the work that you do with Love Life?
I always say that when it comes to psychology, it's a calling for me. And I like making a difference and changing other people's life.
Yeah.
So even if it's one call a day, if I know that I spoke to someone and I made a difference, that matters a lot. So for me, I applied. Obviously, they had a vacancy. I applied. Before applying, it was a matter of going to school, doing psychology. Yes, after matric, it was all about psychology. And here we are. I'm a counselor now.
And what maybe would you say has been the highlight of working with Love Life and being able to help people?
The highlight of working with Love Life, it's obviously being with you now. Joking. Okay.
This is everybody's dream, by the way.
It's the purple couch.
Yeah.
But Love Life focuses more on young people. So working with young people out there on the ground has been one thing that stood out for me. And knowing that we are still the Love Life, because everywhere you go they'll be like, okay, Love Life, you guys still exist. And lastly, not so long, I went to the clinic.
Yeah.
And there was a group of young people. I don't know how, I just started talking about psychosocial and then everything they're dealing with. So that's where I love being out there and working with young people. That has been the highlight.
And, maybe there are some other young people at home who maybe think we are here in Gauteng, but they don't know that we are actually everywhere. What maybe is the one thing that we can do to get access to those kids and make sure that those young people are also able to call us, those young people, we are able to aid them with the help, the necessary help that they need?
Let's go where they are.
Yeah.
They are here. Social media. They are here. Young people are here. So that's why we are everywhere. Social media, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere and everywhere. And we also go to different schools because that's where we also find more young people there. And we also have groundbreakers and binges out there. Those are young people who are working in different schools.
Yeah.
Others are working in clinics. So just when you see someone wearing purple written Love Life, reach out to them. Ask them what's happening, where do we go if we want help. Okay, on social media, how do I speak to Miss B? We do have Miss B anonymously. So that's where we are. Social media.
Sure. Give us that number one more time that people can call to speak to you and get the necessary help done.
083 323 1023.
One more time.
083.
One more time. Let's go. 083
323 1023.
And we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back,
the call back.
we're gonna take a quick break, but when we come back, more Love Life, the Purple Couch. And you're still tuned into the Purple Couch right here on our YouTube channel. It's time for us to get into our wide-based conversation for today. And I'm joined in studio by Kiabetsi, who is from the Fibroid Awareness Association of South Africa. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Whew, I'm glad that I got that out. Very welcome to the Purple Couch. We're about to have a very, important, enlightening, educating conversation. First of all, who is Kiabetsi and what do you do?
Kibitsu is a woman who has suffered from fibroids, and what I do is I'm a founder of Fibroid Awareness Association of South Africa. Just in acronyms, it's FASA, and that's who I am. And I talk for FASA. I'm a founder and chairperson of Fibroid Awareness Association of South Africa.
Amazing. Someone at home maybe tuned into the show and asking themselves, what are fibroids? How would you define fibroids?
Fibroids are non-cancerous tumors that are found in the uterus. They can either be inside the uterus or outside the uterus. They can affect fertility. They can affect a woman's lifestyle.
Yeah.
We find that it's actually affecting African women. And if you actually look at South Africa, majority is Black women. And only about 1 in 4 women it does affect.
And with the education that you as FASA are, trying to put out there for people to know more about fibroids, what are some of the symptoms that people at home can maybe start to see when dealing with fibroids?
Okay, maybe I should also raise what our mission is: to raise awareness, to speak, to advocate, to educate, and also mitigate the silence of women speaking about fibroids. The symptoms that you can actually go through as a woman is heavy bleeding, pain during intercourse, back pains. You can also have low iron levels as a woman. So it does affect every woman at different levels. So for myself, I had heavy bleeding, pain during intercourse. When I'm running, I could feel that there's something on my uterus, some big stuff sitting there, and I couldn't understand why. So there are different symptoms for women. Some you can find that they do have fibroids, but they don't actually know that they've got fibroids. And you'll be trying to have a child, and you're like, okay, what's really happening? But when you go to a gynae, they're like, oh my God, you've got fibroids. Fibroids doesn't actually affect the fertility. It depends where the fibroid is situated. In my situation, the fibroids were situated inside the uterus, where it did affect fertility. But some women can go on with fibroids, depending on also how big they are, and still keep on getting pregnant. Some women have found that during pregnancy, then they find, okay, I've got fibroids. Can I continue to have a child? Yes, you can, but obviously in time they do grow, so it depends on every woman, individually.
Now, if you don't mind, chat to us about your story and how you found out that you had fibroids, and how did that journey basically get to the point whereby you now start your own NPO to empower and educate other people about this?
Okay, I think I was around 28 years old, and I just went to a gynae just to check myself out, because I had heavy bleeding, right? And he says, okay, you've got fibroids, they're about 7 centimeters big, but it's okay, you can still continue, you don't have to remove them. At 29, 30, I wanted to have a child, but I was struggling to have a child. And only when I find out from the doctor that, oh my God, the fibroids have grown enormously, you've got about 16 uterine fibroids in your womb. And without the removal of these fibroids, you cannot continue to be a mother. The gynecologist came and said, you can go through a procedure called myomectomy. Maybe it is a big word. What is myomectomy? Myomectomy is basically you take the fibroids. It's a surgical procedure that you go through. They cut the womb. They cut the womb and then they remove those fibroids. I had my child. Was very happy. Fell pregnant after 4 months of removal of those fibroids. 2017, want to have a child again, find out the fibroids are back. And obviously, because I've had a cesarean and I've had a myomectomy, you can't be cut on the womb so many times. As a woman, it's about 3 or 4 times they can cut you. And I underwent a procedure called uterine fibroid embolization. That is a new procedure currently. It is less invasive than what I actually went through. Basically, that procedure does is they take the fibroids, they cut the blood supply of the fibroids inside, and they die on their own. But it takes a process. It could take about 6 to a year for these fibroids to actually die, which means that they shrink. But while going through this process, I find that, it's emotionally taxing for women. It's extremely taxing. And I was like, okay, let me just look for people who talk about it. And women don't talk about it. So, you're going through this on your own. And I checked the internet and I was like, but there's no association in South Africa that talks about fibroids. I checked and I was able to have a communication with somebody in America. And he said, but in America, we're speaking a lot about fibroids. And I'm like, in South Africa, none of that is really happening. And that's where FASA was born in 2017. And I decided, you know what? I need to educate women out there. There is a woman who's crying like me.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So that's how it was born.
And during this time, I'm sure, you were going through a lot mentally, and physically with all these changes happening in your body. Was your partner supporting you? And also for other men who may be, supporting a woman who is currently going through something that you went through, how can one assist you in being there for you and in helping you, overcome something like this?
I think it's very key, like if as a woman and you have a partner, you have to involve your partner in this type of situations. You have to go with your gynecologist. I mean, to a gynecologist with your partner. Okay. The gynecologist will actually speak to your partner what is really happening. You cannot do this on your own as a woman. As men, you come and say, okay, fine, it's painful, I'm going through this. But I was very, my partner was very supportive. He was there with me and walked through the process with me and knew that I have so much fertility lifespan to have a child. So he actually understood. So as men, we need to walk with our women through this, and not let them do this on their own. It is mentally taxing.
Yeah.
It can actually, as a woman, it can cause depression, because imagine you're trying to have a child and you've got fibroids and you're fighting a lot of things. It is emotionally and physically, which then ends up to mental illness.
Sure. And now we're here, we've got this incredible, association that aims to bring awareness to something like this. Where can people get a hold of you if, they want to reach out and say maybe they're seeing these changes happening in their body and they actually want to know, are these fibroids?
We are available on the website. Is www.fasaza.org, or on our Instagram handle, which is fasa_.org, or Facebook, Fibroid Awareness Association of South Africa, and on our Twitter account, which is Fibroid A at Fibroid A.
Fibroid
Missed
A.
that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming through and chatting to us about, this. I think it's so enlightening for myself, because I've got women in my life, whether it's my friend or my sister, and I'm happy to have chatted to you and for you to have opened my mind on something like this. And also shout out to you for overcoming that. You're here with us and you're able, to be support to someone else who maybe didn't have that when you were going through that,
Yeah.
So shout out to you.
Maybe I can just add that let's stop the silence as women. We want to start talking and about it. The workplaces, please listen to women out there. It is affecting to one out of 4 women, and it will affect the business productivity at the end of day for women taking sick leave. But let's talk about it. Let's end the silence.
Let's end the silence. A big shout out to Kiabeti for coming through and chatting to us. Do connect with her on all her social media platforms. We'll be back after this.
Thank you.
It's time for us to take a look at all that went down at the National School Sports Championship, which went down in Western Cape and in Gauteng. I wasn't there, so let's see what went down. And we've come to the end of today's explosive episode. A big shout out to you for tuning into the show. A big shout out to my guests for coming through and sharing all the incredible things that they're doing in the world. A big shout out to the National Department of Health and the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture for making it all possible. Continue to like, subscribe, and share the channel with all your friends. Otherwise, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It is at LoveLifeNGO, #The Purple Couch. I'm your host, Thabile TTO, and this has been a takeover. Until the next episode, keep taking over, guys. Bye.